This clip highlights a key part of a conversation we had during the latest episode of The Work Within. Is there anything you'd want to say, like, to folks that are in relationship to a perfectionist? I guess maybe we just touched upon that a little bit, but any tips for folks who are like, yeah, I have a child who's this way, or my spouse or friend is a perfectionist? Like, what are ways that as a friend or parent you can care well for the perfectionists in your lives?
I think that a lot of times, I think it depends on if it's inwardly or outwardly focused. If they're trying to make you be perfect as well, that's a different relationship, right? That's a different pivot. But if they are hard on themselves because they are not perfect enough or trying to present as perfect all the time, then I think having a lot of compassion for that person, because they're already beating themselves up more than you will ever beat them up. And so really showing up with compassion. If it's someone who's trying to put on, like, oftentimes you'll hear, like, my father wanted the perfect family, so we had to blah, 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 right? Or my mother or whoever. Moms get bashed on a lot, so we'll bash on dads a little bit. But when that is the case, then having really good boundaries and separating yourself from that, going, this is a problem that they have, it's not a problem that I have. And really looking for the truth in that. And that's really hard to do, especially if you're in a subordinate position to that person, if you're a child in that relationship. And really, you don't have the skills to do that until you get older, and then you have to go back and do that work. But I think that's the hard pivot to make, is when it's someone who is trying to force you to be perfect as well, so that they can feel satisfied within themselves that they have created something that is perfect.
Yeah, that's good, Laura. I think being explicit about your acceptance in the relationship, regardless of what the person does, and the person won't believe you, and you have to keep doing it over and over and saying, no, I'm here still. I still love you. I still care for you. And you're helping them develop a new neural pathway. That's one way to think of it. You're digging a ditch in somebody's in somebody's neural pathways where these experiences can go down a new pathway that feels different. And it takes time, and it takes multiple experiences.
Yeah, and it's generational. So a lot of times you're handed this, right? Whether it's you're rebelling against someone who was super imperfect, or you were in that family that said we have to be perfect, you're handed this through generations. So what Paul said about building new neural pathways, so very important. Your brain develops a road and how you're supposed to react and what you're supposed to do. And you have to give it, like, you have to start developing exit ramps for it. You have to say, like, but there's a possibility it could go this way. It's a possibility it could go this way. If you just say, no, that's not right, your brain's going to say, yes, it is. That's what we've always done. But if you say, well, maybe it could be over here just a little bit. Maybe there's a road adjacent that we might be able to take that doesn't take us so far away from what we believe is true, but just push us right over here. And then that's easier for the brain to accept.
That's good. Well, I see that we're pretty much out of time, so I'm going to wrap us up here. And I'll end on a quote from Henri Nouwen, who wrote this in The Life of the Beloved. Over the years, I've come to realize that the greatest trap in our life is not success, popularity, or power, but self-rejection. Self-rejection is the greatest enemy of the spiritual life because it contradicts the sacred voice that calls us the beloved. Being the beloved constitutes the core truth of our existence. So, yeah, if you take nothing else from this conversation, whether you're a recovering perfectionist, just realizing you are a perfectionist, married to one, raising one, realize that being the beloved is the core truth of our existence. And it's from that place that we can begin to live into greater freedom, maybe loosen the grip of perfectionism on our lives and those around us. Thanks for tuning in to The Work Within. We hope this show blessed you in some way. Please subscribe and leave us a review. Your support means a lot to us. Finally, if you're looking for a therapist, we'd love to help. Visit us at www.watershedinitiative.com to get started. For a limited time, new clients can receive 10% off their first 5 sessions of therapy by mentioning The Work Within. Join us again next time.